Hey, what's up, you wrestling fanatics? You're listening to episode 36 of the True Wrestling Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Today, I'm going to do a preview of Penn State, Arizona State, Lehigh versus Princeton, and Lehigh versus Pittsburgh. I want to thank my sponsor, Adidas Wrestling. They rock. And you can follow me at True Wrestler One or visit true-wrestling.com. Hey, jumping into the first duel of the weekend that I'm going to preview, Penn State versus Arizona State. Right now, the lineups are a little bit in flux, but at 25, I got Brandon Courtney versus Brody Teske, possibly Devin Schnupp. I think it's interesting. I think Courtney has a slight edge here and is more developed as a wrestler, but I think that one of the things that Penn State's been able to do is coach up their boys to a degree that other programs have not been able to. So while Courtney, I think, has the edge, statistically speaking, and as far as his record goes, Teske is one of those guys where he may not be as developed as some of the fans thought he was going to be. But I think Courtney has a couple flaws from neutral and on the mat that Teske could exploit. So to me, this, if they do not draw, which I don't think either team historically does, it would be an interesting way for the duel to start and to get a feel for what the Penn State guys are going to be bringing. And you always know they're going to bring 100%. But in a slight edge match to Arizona State, you get a feel for what Teske might do. I think Schnupp might have a harder body type for Courtney to wrestle, but for this right now, we're just going to say it's Courtney's going to win a regular decision. And will cardio come into play here? Is the only other thing that I think Teske might have in his favor is if he can push the pace and maybe mentally tire out Courtney. Not just physically, but mentally, sort of the way, not at the same level, but how Kyle Snyder broke Nick Gwiazdowski in the finals a few years ago. All right, so edge Arizona State, but it's one to watch to see what Teske's growth is like. 33, we got Josh Kramer comes in mid-30s. Roman Bravo Young comes in around number 8. Kramer's moving up. He's wrestled some tough kids and he's done pretty well. I think that Roman Bravo Young is a little bit out of his league at this point, and on top of that, I think that RBY is going to be in his home state and probably wrestling in front of more of the people who he grew up with than at any point this season. So, Roman Bravo Young has the edge from neutral. I think that he'll be able to control the top from the top position. And he's probably going to want to put a show on for some of the Arizona fans. The question is, does he get a little too, last year he was really loose and wild at the beginning of the season, just trying to figure things out. And you wonder if he's going to try and do some of that stuff or if he's learned a little bit from injuries and from giving up needless points from being just a little bit too sloppy, where his mindset is. All I can say is that I'm sure he's got to be excited for the match. His whole family's from Arizona and, he's got a huge fan base there. So at this point, I'm giving him, I would say it's probably a major decision, but I would also think a tech is possible. I think a tech is more likely than a fall, but we will see. So right now I got Penn State up slightly. 41, Corey Crooks versus Nick Lee. Nick Lee is fire this year. He is just lighting it up. He's one non-bonus point win. I see this being all Nick Lee, and he has not been known as a pinner in the past, but between tech, he's much more of a tech fall or major decision, 2-for-1 guy, take down, let him up. But this year it looks like he's making an emphasis or a point of competitive mindset to dominate from all the positions. So I'm going to give Lee, the pick here. I think that he's way too slick on his feet. And again, last year he was maybe a little bit sloppy in his aggressiveness. And from the few matches I've got to see, I didn't see that this year. His attacks are much more precise than the beginning of last year, and that I don't think gives Crooks any point to exploit. So I'm taking RBY, and I'm taking him by a tech fall. Going on to 49. I'm guessing it's going to be Jared Vercleren instead of Gardner. Vercleren winning the last match. You never know what's going on there. Versus Josh Maruka. Maruka comes in, somewhere between 40 and 50 in the ratings, and Vercleren, between 20 and 25. Maruka is one of those guys, part of a great recruiting class, and he has just not developed the way I think some people thought he would. On the other hand, Vercleren has fought his way into the lineup. I'm pretty sure he was a walk-on at Penn State, and maybe he has a little money now if he's in the starting lineup. The deal with Vercleren, I think he's just one of the most mentally tough kids out there. He just has trouble scoring from his own attacks. Even that duck that he hits really well. People need to be pressuring into him. We'll see what Maruka is doing for his offense. That tie is not his thing. He's usually more, I guess elbows and wrists, I think, than, whatever. So, I think Vercleren has the edge. Maruka, is wrestling at home. Vercleren has the weight cut every time can be different for him. I know he thinks he has it down to a science, but with diabetes, it does make it a challenge. If you don't do it right, it can make a real difference in your cardio. I'm going to give the edge to either Vercleren or Gardner, and they're going to get. Penn State's going to get the third one in a row. Then we got 57, Bo Pfeiffer most likely instead of Brady Berge. I have not heard that he's going to be back in the lineup, and I don't think Penn State has any push to put him back in the lineup. The concussion protocol can take weeks, and I don't think they have to feel any need to rush him back. Having dealt with it, once most organizations, once you're just cleared to practice, then you have to do just light workout and then work out with some physicality to it, not just cardio. And then you can touch, but you can't go 100%. So there's like a 5 to 6 day process. And I know it's been a while, but you just don't know when he was ultimately cleared, if he's even cleared to come back. Versus Ja'Cory Teamer, and I'm not sure that's when they want Berge to come back. So Pfeiffer 23, and Ja'Cory Teamer, redshirt freshman, coming in around number 10. All those Penn State guys want to come out and win, especially when they get on a roll. So, Penn State could conceivably be coming in here 3 wins in a row, and you wonder if that carries over. Teamer's experience, he's used to big matches. You just don't know how a young kid might respond in the moment. Teamer should win. I've seen Pfeiffer wrestle a couple times. Teamer's much more slick on his neutral attacks, but Pfeiffer might have a strength advantage. And even though Teamer is so slick from a lot of positions, I'm sure it's not a feel that Pfeiffer doesn't feel in the Penn State room. So I'm not sure what the score is, but I'm just going to give a regular decision to Teamer. At 65, Vincenzo Joseph versus Josh Shields, 1 versus 7. Joseph has won in the past by a few points, and then a 1-point match in March. I'm assuming that he's going to wrestle. He didn't look 100% at the end of the Farrell. So I think that he's going to wrestle, and if he does, I think he's going to. He looked really good, especially from his ties, and I'm still waiting for him to improve against top level guys from the top position. So we'll see what happens here, but I'm going to take Joseph by bonus points. I know it sounds crazy. He hasn't bonus pointed Shields in the past, but I think Joseph has made some strides from neutral, and we'll see if they carry over from freestyle to folk style. 174, old foes coming back together as weight changes. With Zahid Valencia going up to 84, it's kind of taken away the best rivalry in college wrestling. But Zahid's replaced by his brother Anthony, who's a redshirt junior. I think he got a medical shirt, I think. And Mark Hall. I think the last time these guys wrestled was who's number one 5 years ago, and Hall really destroyed Anthony Valencia. So, and that was unexpected. I think that, while Anthony Valencia was the more highly touted Valencia brother, he just hasn't, whether it's injuries, whether it's mindset, whether it's, the reality is Arizona State the college wrestling version of the NFL's Miami Dolphins, right? Are there too many distractions down there? The weather, the co-eds, whatever it is, for the guys to be 100% committed, or to put out an entire team that is that committed. The Dolphins seem to have struggled with that. South Beach is so darn close that they just go out all the time, and I'm not sure they can ever put out a good product. Anyway, back to wrestling. I see Hall kind of on a mission right now, so I'm going to take him, and I think he's going to flirt with bonus points, but I don't think there will be bonus points. 7-point win, unless he catches some kind of cement job on Valencia from a bad shot and he relaxes. I'm taking Mark Hall. And then moving on to 84 is Zahid Valencia, Mr. Bonus Point, coming in at number one versus Creighton Edsel, sophomore from Penn State, who has been in for Shakur Rashid. I don't think we'll see Rashid, this semester. Everybody's saying the same thing, but there's no need for him to come back. And having major knee surgery, I think in April, 6 months. So we're not even at, May, June, July, August, September, October. So, we're just past 6 months. So I'm guessing he's going to need another month just to get into really good shape, competition shape. And we'll see. I know I said earlier, like with Pfeiffer, that when the backup gets into the lineup, they still think they're going to win. And I don't think Edsel will be intimidated. But I think Valencia's attacks are so slick that he's just going to, break Edsel's stance from neutral, and when that happens, he may look for more takedown right to back. We'll see what happens, but I got Valencia with bonus points. 197. This one's interesting. We got Belche, redshirt sophomore, Cade Belche from Arizona State versus Kyle Cannell from Penn State, and Cannell has looked less than great so far this year. Now, look, he does have a huge knee brace on, and it might not be 100%. But my guess is if Kyle Cannell, if he doesn't look good in this match, I'm guessing pulling Michael Beard's red shirt is on the table for the Penn State crew, because they really know, I think they know, and I'm sure they feel the same thing or think the same thing, that come March they need a lot of points at 197. And Cannell, nice enough guy. I'm not sure he has the intensity to wrestle a Big Ten schedule. The word at Kent State was, he would take some practices off, and I don't think he can do that in the Penn State room. And I don't know, I haven't talked to him since I interviewed him several months ago. I don't know what his mindset is, but this is a match where he needs to, I think, show the coaching staff that he can go into a match with the same intensity that he did the NCAA championships 2 years ago. So Cannell bonus points, and if not, look for Michael Beard to possibly. I don't know if they'd pull his. I know, he lost in the Clarion Open to the finals. That guy rode him tough. Beard sometimes gets that lung injury, but I think that they can wrestle They might be able to send Beard to the Southern Scuffle unattached and not violate red shirt stuff. They're gonna have to do something, and I wouldn't be surprised if Cannell does not look good. The Beard gets into that lineup. Maybe the most anticipated match would be 285. Tanner Hall comes in, number 8, the senior, who's probably in his late 20s by now after his Mormon mission. I don't know if he also redshirted a year or if he's just straight through, versus returning national champ Anthony Cassar. Cassar looks big and strong this year. He not that he didn't look it in the past, but in the heavyweight sense, he's put on muscle, and I don't think Tanner Hall can stay with him on his feet. The only guy who Cassar couldn't get to the legs last year was Derek White from Oklahoma State during the duel, and then he just kind of shut it down. I don't think Hall has that kind of strength, and I also don't think he has that kind of upper body awareness to keep the legs back. So I think Cassar is going to leg attack. He is going to push the cardio of anybody at 285. And I think that's what ultimately broke Gable Steveson last year, was that the cardio. So even though there wasn't a ton of activity, there's a ton of movement going on there. So I see Cassar getting a few takedowns and then getting Hall maybe to get out of position. I know, someone told me that I think Wrestling Nomad said he averaged like 7 takedowns a match, and that's a tough pace for any guy to keep up with, let alone at 285. So taking Cassar with bonus points, and I see that Arizona State probably wins 2. There's a toss-up, I would say, at 97. So 7 matches for Penn State. Penn State rolls in Arizona, and also gets people from California, and as I like to call it, Ice Station Zebra wrestlers, that gives them some exposure for recruiting out there. So Penn State in dominating form over Arizona State tonight. Tomorrow, we got Princeton hosting Lehigh. This is last year Princeton shocked the EIWA when they knocked off Lehigh at Grace Hall, Snake Pit. This year, Lehigh goes into, I think it's Jadwin. You should get over there if you can. And it's going to be a great duel. Starting off the match should be number 5, Pat Glory, versus number 12, Brandon Paetzel. I think that Glory has a clear edge here. But it's one of those things where Paetzel's a good wrestler, and he will wrestle a hard 7 minutes. And I think that Princeton needs bonus points to be in this match. Now, I know there's a bunch of things up in the air, and I can't get Coach Ayers to give me a lineup, so I'm guessing here. But I'm taking Glory, and Paetzel was able to hold off a tech to preserve the win for Lehigh over Oklahoma State when he was wrestling Nick Piccinini last weekend, and I think that he is going to need to wrestle a really tough match and keep this to a regular decision versus Pat Glory. And maybe even steal it if you're a Mountain Hawk fan. At 33, Ty Agaze versus number 20, Nick Farrow. Farrow's having a pretty good year for the Mountain Hawks. Ty Agaze's coming back from some injuries, and we'll see where he is at. Right now, I don't think he's ranked. I think Farrow, he's one of those kids. He had a nice win over the ranked kid from Rutgers, but then he has a couple mystery losses. He needs to believe in his attacks and create his own offense. And these guys, both of these guys, I think, try to keep matches a little bit close, and that might come back to bite Farrow. But right now, I'm taking Farrow with a regular decision. And if he, if he pushes the pace, I think he's got the neutral game to go 2-for-1 and flirt with a major decision. 41, Ryan Pomeranka versus either Pat Darcy or Marshall Keller. Keller was in the lineup last year when Darcy was out with injury. Darcy has been back. I'm not sure who is going to start. Pomeranka is ranked around number 35. He opened up the Oklahoma State match with a win, not over Gefeller, but over somebody who was pretty good from the Oklahoma State lineup. The name is eluding me right now. And Pomeranka, he's another Lehigh guy who wrestles really close matches, and they can come back to haunt him if it's a 1-point match late in the bout. Marshall Keller, really aggressive last year. I don't think that he can beat Darcy in the room, and it's really a matter of Darcy's health, being okay to go. So I see it being a tight match, and they both have, so Keller and Darcy both have losses to Pomeranka, but Pomeranka needs to open it up so they can't steal it at the end of the match. So I'm giving Pomeranka a regular decision here in my pick, but if it's 3-2 with 30 seconds left, that throws that thing up in the air. All right, going on to 49. Number 16, Mike D'Angelo versus number 40 or 35, Jimmy Hoffman. Hoffman has been wrestling tough this year. He's a gamer. D'Angelo is down a weight class from 2 years ago. Took a gap year at Princeton. He's going 57. Now with Kolodzik out, he's down at 49. I think D'Angelo he doesn't look huge at 49, but I think he's going to be the biggest kid so far that Hoffman has faced. I think D'Angelo has an edge from neutral and from scrambling, and I'm going to pick him. I think that his attacks, are just a little crisper, and I think his mat wrestling is just a little more well-rounded right now than Hoffman's. If his cardio is not right, though, I think Hoffman will push it and make it a regular decision. Again, this is one of those spots where Princeton would hope for possible bonus points. It's a tough matchup, and I'm taking D'Angelo. Going up to 57, number 9, Quincy Monday versus number 10, Josh Humphreys. Monday won the match over Humphreys at the Princeton Open a couple weeks ago, but Humphreys beat Monday twice last year. I think that if they get into scrambles, that Humphreys can't account for Monday's longer reach. And it's one of those things where I see Monday, if Humphreys can keep it to a takedown and traditional mat wrestling match, I think he's got the clear edge. On the other hand, if things get a little bit scrambly, whether from a shot or shot defense or from a funky position on the mat, Monday all of a sudden has got a chance to take this. I know he's higher ranked just because he did knock off Humphreys by 4 or 5 points at the Open, and part of that was a pretty wild scramble. If you haven't seen it, you can go to the YouTube page and check it out, where I think Monday ended up getting 6 points in a 30-second scramble period, where I'm not sure Humphrey was aware that he actually was given an escape. Anyway, and the last year, the matches were much tighter, and Humphreys win. I think it was a 1-point affair in the first match in the Snake Pit. I am not sure who I'm taking here. That's a toss-up. Part of me, oh man, it's just such a toss-up. I'm taking Humphreys to avenge the Princeton Open loss. Going up to 65, Brian Meyer for Lehigh, Como or Tianson for Princeton. I think it was Tianson who lost to Meyer 3-2 at the Princeton Open. I think Meyer has got a slight edge there. I'm going back. I think I'm going to take Monday. I haven't thought it out. I think it's Monday at home, but I don't know. What do I know? All right, back up to 65. I think Meyer, he won a really close match. I'm not sure if Como is going to be in the lineup or Tianson, just don't know. So I'm giving the edge to Meyer right now based on the win over Tianson at the Open, but it was so darn close. Whoever Coach Ayers puts in there, I'm sure he's looking for a better result than a 3-2 loss. Boy, we didn't even talk about Coach Hughes leaving Lehigh. We'll get to that afterwards. 74, we have number 2 Jordan Cutler going to face maybe Forrest Bell or Kevin Parker. Cutler, I think, is clearly the dominant wrestler here in this matchup and has a strong edge. I think Princeton needs to make sure that they don't give up bonus points here. Cutler was definitely pushing the pace a little bit more than normal last weekend in the Oklahoma State match. And if they can't stop his neck pull to that low-high crotch or the same side sweep, they're in for a long day, and Cutler's going to bonus point, get at least a major decision. I think he was 1 point away from a tech fall versus Oklahoma State, and if I'm taking Cutler. Going up to 84, Chris Wyler versus Travis Stefanik, I believe. Weiler's 25, Stefanik is 23. The question for me is whether Weiler's got his lungs in better shape since last week. I know that some of the Lehigh team was not feeling so well. I don't know if Wyler was one of them. I know last year he also had an early season lung injury like this. So it's one of those things where the edge, I think, is Wyler right now. I think he's a better mat wrestler than Stefanik. Stefanik is going up from 74. I'm not sure if he's full-sized. I have not seen him on the mat this year. I think it's an edge. Yeah, boy, you just don't know where Wyler is mentally and with his lungs versus Stefanik. Stefanik, I think, has a better gas tank coming into his sophomore season. I'm calling it a toss-up, and maybe Stefanik, home mat advantage. Going up to 97, number 3, Pat Bruckey, I believe is going to be wrestling. I know he's battling some stuff. Versus number 25, Jake Jacobson. Jacobson had an issue with maybe some cardio last week versus Oklahoma State as well. So I think Bruckey. The other thing is, Jacobson just he doesn't have a ton of ankle mobility and has a real hard time defending shots below the knee. Now, whether you like it or not, Bruckey will attack above or below the knee on those double legs. So if Bruckey's health is good, I'm taking Bruckey. I think he's a clear advantage with his low-level and mid-level attacks. And I think he's just got more power than Jacobson right now. And we'll see where Jacobson's lungs are at. But Bruckey with a regular decision. Again, Princeton would love to see him get into a 2-for-1 a few times and be able to open up and get the bonus points. But I'm taking Bruckey with, I'm giving Bruckey a major decision on that one. And then up at heavyweight, I think it's O'Connor for Princeton versus number 3 or 4, Jordan Wood. Wood's coming back. I saw him at the Princeton Open. He wasn't feeling great. He wrestled okay at Stabler Arena versus Oklahoma State, but I don't think he was 100%. His lungs were also, he won, but he didn't push like he has pushed from neutral in the past. But I'm taking Wood. I think he's, I think he's just better from neutral. And O'Connor, if it is O'Connor, as a freshman, true freshman, tons of accolades in high school, but it's a different game. So right now, I think I've got 6 matches for Lehigh, 4 for Princeton, and I'm taking Lehigh 19-15. All right. On Sunday, the Pitt Panthers come into the Snake Pit to face the Lehigh Mountain Hawks. And I'm just going to run through that one. Brandon Paetzel, 125 versus Louis Newell. I I think Paetzel has got a clear edge here. Newell comes in. I don't think he's actually ranked. Paetzel's 12. He's wrestled some tough kids. So he's had back to back. He's got Piccinini and Glory, and this is going to give the Lehigh Mountain Hawk fans an opportunity to see what Paetzel has. He's dropped down from 33. Pitt is, Coach Gavin has really got them firing on all cylinders. People who think coaching does not matter, it does. You can see it with Coach Bono. You can see it with Coach Kolat. You can see it with, Coach Gavin. And the converse, you can see where teams don't improve dramatically quickly. It's about high expectations and boys who just want to work hard. Taking Paetzel with the edge, and I'm going to say he's going to flirt with a major decision. 33, this should be a good matchup. Mickey Philippi comes in having a really good year, ranked number 7. He'll face Nick Farrow, number 20. Philippi, I think, had a close loss to Pletcher and RBY. Is that right? And then he also beat, I think, Tariq Wilson, who was he number 8 or 9 around somewhere. So this is a measuring stick for Philippi being able to travel, wrestle tough, and carry all those things that Coach Gavin is instilling in him. And this is also a measure for Farrow to see if he can hang with somebody in the top 10 and get off some attacks. So I'm taking Philippi. Pitt needs, again, bonus points here. So I don't know if he can get bonus points on Farrow. Farrow is a strong 33-pounder. Unless he can get him out of that stance to break position, I'm not sure Philippi. He's going to have to go low and then high. He's going to do some misdirection. Farrow is pretty strong and has a pretty tight stance. It's just a matter of getting him to lean. I don't want to give away too many secrets. Taking Philippi. 41, Pomrenka versus Cole Matthews. Matthews having a good season here, first year in the lineup. I'm going to give him the edge. Matthews comes at 15, Pomrenka 35. If Pomrenka ever felt the confidence to open up his attacks more, I think that he would see a lot of benefits. But whether it's a confidence thing or it is something else, a cardio thing, he doesn't give himself a chance to beat good guys because he didn't take enough. He doesn't create. You're never going to get takedowns. You don't shoot. So I'm taking Matthews, but this could be an upset special. If Matthews gets frustrated with Pomrenka, because he can hold really good position and defend. He's wrestled really close matches with some really tough guys, and if he can frustrate the younger wrestler, he might be able to capitalize on some impatience and out of positionness and steal one here from the Pitt Panthers. So, upset special, 141. 49, Jimmy Hoffman versus Luke Kinnerer. Hoffman, he's also had a tough run of things. Oklahoma State, and then Princeton. This is, he's coming in much more highly ranked than the Pitt wrestler. And I'm going to give him the edge. And, he's, like I said, he wrestles hard, he wrestles tough, and I think he's got a pretty good gas tank. And I think he's pretty aggressive. So this might be a chance for the Mountain Hawks to see him open it up a little bit and show what he can do versus someone that he should be able to dominate. 57, this might be the marquee matchup, or one of the two marquee matchups for me, is Josh Humphreys, number 10, versus Taylor Rahimi, coming in at 15. I'm taking Humphreys. I think that he is a little more dynamic. Humphreys, I think, has a little more power, really powerful hips, and the last thing he wants to do is get into some crazy scrambles with Rahimi. It should be a really good match. I wouldn't be surprised if it's really close, and that they trade a few takedowns to begin with. I think Humphreys' mat IQ is maybe the second highest on the team. He knows when he lets things get away. He knows how to win. He knows what his style is. He knows what his attacks are. So I'm taking him. I'm taking Humphreys to make a statement here. especially if he does not beat Monday. He was able to beat the kid from Oklahoma State who beat him in sudden victory last year. Um, he's a guy who, yeah, he circles matches, and I'm sure he's been looking at this one. So I'm taking Humphreys. 65, Jake Wenzel, number 19. Brian Meyer, 65. Wenzel, I think, comes in with an advantage here. He's going to have to wrestle hard, and Gavin, I think, has him wrestling hard. I think he's got more skill than Meyer right now. And I think his attacks from neutral are just a little more refined at the college level than Meyer has. So I think Wenzel is going to win a regular decision. But again, for Pitt to be in here, I think that they're going to be pushing this match to have bonus points. So that's it. I think it's a regular decision, though. 74, Jordan Cutler, number 2, versus Greg Harvey, number 50. Cutler, I think his leg attacks are just, too hard for most guys not named Mark Hall to stop. I think Hall is the only guy that has really shut down that inside step to a high crotch that Cutler is really good at. And this is one of those spots where I think that Cutler might get bonus points as well. He'll be, I think he should easily be able to get it to a major, if not more. Here's another possible marquee matchup, depending on Wyler's lungs at 84. Comes in at 25 versus Nino Bonacorsi. In my mind, looking at their history, I got Bonacorsi. I have it as a toss-up. And it really, to me, is I think Bonacorsi might be a little bit crisper move to move, but Wyler, if he can get you into a scramble, and Wyler is the king of the slow motion scramble, and if he has his cardio right, he might be able to confuse Bonacorsi with a couple of funks to Bonacorsi's attack. So, while Bonacorsi is ranked 11 and Wyler is number 15 or 25, I think it's going to be a tough match. And if Wyler does have his cardio together, I think that this will be a toss-up. And if not, I think Bonacorsi, who knows, could get a pin. Because Wyler will keep doing some crazy moves even when he's tired, and you never know when he's going to get caught. So I'm taking Bonacorsi, but it'll be an interesting match. 97, Kellen Stout comes in at number 50, former Penn State wrestler, versus Jake Jacobson, coming in at 25. This might be a match where Jacobson bounces back a little bit from the Brucky match and the Dakota Gear match. So Stout will wrestle tough. I just don't know if he has got the attacks. They both have a lanky style, which might cancel each other out a little bit. People can struggle with Jacobson. He's got really long reach and can tie up ankles really well. And that Stout has that same long wingspan. I'm taking Jacobson in a close one, regular decision. And then here's the other marquee matchup to me. I hope it materializes. Demetrius Thomas comes in at number 10 at heavyweight versus Jordan Wood. I think Wood has the the leg attacks and maybe the cardio. A lot of Wood's leg attacks on some of the big guys start to open up as they get tired. Now, if Wood has recovered fully from being maybe a little under the weather, he'll be able to push that cardio. And if not, this will be a much closer match. If he is able to push Thomas to the point where he starts to get tired and then starts to break position, Wood will feast on some of those low leg attacks. And if it's not, it could be a 5-3 match for Wood. But I think Wood wins. And right now I got Lehigh 6-4 split, and I got them winning 21-14 in the Snake Pit. Lastly, it came as a pretty big shock to most people that follow Lehigh wrestling or Penn State wrestling. The associate head coach John Hughes left the team this week, and you generally don't see that during a season. Coach Hughes is kind of a legend in Pennsylvania. tremendous high school wrestler, college wrestler, Penn State, and an associate head coach with Pat Santoro for a long time at Lehigh. And like I said, you generally don't see someone who is a wrestling lifer leave during the season. There's been no explanation, just personal reasons. He has the fire that and the competitive vocal stuff that I think that Coach Santoro does not. Coach Santoro is maybe the least fiery, intense guy I have ever met, and I've known him since high school. And I think Hughes is kind of that counterbalance. I don't want to speculate if he got in trouble for saying something or to the kids. Who knows? At this day and age, it's very hard to know what is acceptable on a college campus and what is not. And it's not that hard. Nothing is acceptable that previous generations have thought was acceptable. I'm not saying that Coach Hughes did anything unacceptable to Lehigh University, but to leave during the season, it's just an odd timing, and I wish him the best. I don't know how the team will respond. I'm pretty sure they had no idea until it was announced. And Coach Hughes, we wish you the best from True Wrestling to whatever your next endeavor is. All right, people, you can look for highlights of hopefully Princeton versus Lehigh, and then Lehigh versus Pitt, and then also Keystone Classic. So that's what we're looking for, highlights. Hopefully start posting them on Monday. Have a great weekend, people.